All right, so the Mario movie has been out now. And with all the buzz and praise, we can finally do a comparison with the first Mario movie and the first Sonic movie. And what kind of inspired us, or at least me, to make this video was I was seeing a bunch of comparison videos, and particularly Game Explain had a category where it was like best humor or best after credit set of scenes, which I thought they were silly categories just because, like, one, after credit scene's not that important, and two, with humor, one is more of a family adventure, the other one is more like comedical references, so you can't really compare those humors. So I decided with the lovely friend of Crystal right here that we would use Oscar categories to compare which movie would be better. And the categories that we're going to use, since there's many different Oscar categories, is best score, best film editing, best cinematography, best supporting actor, best main actor, best director, best original screenplay, and best picture. And these were fair categories because obviously if we use best visual effects, Mario can't be in it, or best animated film, Sonic can't be in it. So yeah, here we go. All right. Best score. Which movie do you think had the better score?
Well, yeah, I have something to say about this because if Jack Black's performance of Peaches is considered part of like the overall score, then I give it to Mario by a landslide because, and I don't know if this is like legitimate or not, but I think I saw on Twitter some people were saying that Peaches could be considered like a best song at the Oscars. For it to even be like included on the short list for the Oscars is like way more impressive than like any kind of like original song that like Sonic had or could have. So yeah, for that reason,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it to Sonic because I feel like that. No, I'm not Sonic, to Mario because I feel like that song kind of
Yeah.
made the whole movie.
Definitely, it's a popular song. They even have a what's it called, a VEVO for that song itself. So it's a very popular song. But yeah, Mario's definitely best score. The Sonic movie, for the most part, didn't do anything creative with its score, and that's really what made the Mario movie more better. Even though it is taking stuff from the original games and they're just adapting it, the fact that they recreated it and they even added song like Peaches in the score is why it is a better score altogether. But
Yeah, agreed. I think they took like the game music and then using it as like a leitmotif, like along the entire score and making it very like sweeping and epic. Like they did a good
mhm.
job of that. As like Peaches aside, like they did a good job.
Yeah. But next is best film editing. So this category, for me, I gave it to at first I gave it to Mario because I thought, at least with Mario Sonic, there was moments where I felt that they were like, maybe they were looking a certain direction where they shouldn't be, and there was, like, to me, that was sloppy editing. But the more I think about it, uh, um, there were moments in the Mario film where the pacing did feel a little bit off, and that could be attributed to editing. So this one I'm a little bit confused, but Chris, I'll let you take this one as well. See what's your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I feel like I've mentioned this before. Like even when we like first got out of the film, um, there there are parts in Mario where the pacing feels like breakneck, and I know like some of that is like attributed to like maybe the screenplay and the directing, but I feel like editing has like a big hand in that. And like I just feel like in Sonic, it felt like a little more of a normal pace. It felt like more grounded. Again, we're comparing apples to oranges, comparing Sonic to Mario. But for just for that reason, like the pacing and me being like such an old lady now and be like, oh, I can't keep up. Like I don't know. I just have to give it to Sonic for best film editing. And like also they're editing like scenes with real people in them and also like having the like green screen like Sonic and everything animated at the same time. Like that's pretty impressive. That's like
Mhm,
an extra thing that they had to account for that the Mario team did not. And
mhm.
I have to give it to the team at Sonic for doing that because it's very like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, you know? It's yeah, yeah. No, it's
That's fair.
honestly like really impressive to do that kind of editing. So I'm gonna give it to Sonic.
Yeah. Yeah, I think again going with the Mario movie, there were a lot of scenes, like for example, when Mario got to the fish, they cut that up. Like the trailer was longer, but in the movie they cut it off. And
Yeah.
then even when Mario comes out of the when he first comes into Mushroom Cream the first time, originally he was speaking, but in the movie they took that out. They just kept it more silent. So
Yeah, it felt so condensed. Like, and I mean, it's for a reason. Like, they're definitely trying to make a shorter movie so that they can have more show times and get more butts and seats. It's pretty obvious, and like even if you don't watch the movie, like you know, like that's what they're trying to do, but to have it so obviously like kind of like throw it in our faces is a little jarring, but it's fine. Yeah, I digress. Sonic
all
wins
right.
this round.
The next one is best cinematography. I think this one just has to go to Mario. For me, my biggest reason is like that one moment where Luigi goes into Bowser's castle and then the dry bones come in and it's like a horror film. Like I think that itself is just good cinematography there. Sonic, for the most part, I know it's a human, like it's a live action film. They didn't really do anything creative with the cinematography,
Mhm.
so it's a little bit weaker there. But Mario, for sure, in my eyes, won it there.
I agree. I think anything visual goes to Mario, to be honest, because like the whole thing is just so maximalist. It's a feast for the eyes for sure. And just like the shots of the Mushroom Kingdom and the cute like sunsets when like Mario and Peach are talking. It's just like really nice stuff to look at. And they definitely do a good job of like differentiating each like place as like Mario maps, or I don't know if they're called maps, but you know what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. Because there's nothing really like memorable in Sonic like cinematography wise. Like I don't know
Yeah.
where it's set on Earth, but there's like no identifying landmarks or anything. I'm just like it could be Michigan for all I know. Like
Yeah.
no shade to Michigan, but I just like did not recognize where they were.
I mean, they went to San Francisco at the end, but it still wasn't. I mean, there was a part where they travel a bunch of parts, but it still wasn't
Yeah,
like
they're just
anything.
like in generic metropolitan city. Like
Yeah, for sure,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
But next is best supporting actor. So this one's interesting because in my head, I originally had for the Mario movie would be Luigi and then Sonic would be his human character. But this is tricky because like there could be multiple supporting actors. Like for example, you can say Princess Peach could have been a supporting actor. You could have used Jim Carrey as a supporting actor. And if they were going to use the villains, hey, I think even Jack Black can be a supporting actor. We want to go there. But I guess I will keep it with Luigi since Luigi for the Mario movie was it's supposed to be Mario Brothers. And then with that dynamic, I felt like Mario, I mean Sonic's human friend would also be the next part.
Yeah,
So if we
whatever
compare
his
it there,
name
who do you think
was.
was a better?
James, the
Yeah, whoever
person
his
James
name.
Marsden was playing, and I think for that reason alone that we don't even remember his name, like I have to go with Luigi. I think Luigi,
Mhm.
even though like Peach had more screen time and she to me is like more of like a bigger supporting cast member. I think what Charlie Day did with Luigi was great with his like little raspy voice, and I think one of the only moments I was even like moved a little bit emotionally was like when Luigi finally had his moment at the end and like defended Mario. So because like and James Marsden was actually like likable in Sonic, which
Mhm.
is I think that should be considered for sure. I think that in itself is impressive because, I mean, everyone knows like the weakest parts of Sonic are the human people parts. Everything
Mhm.
about Sonic is about Sonic. Like, Sonic is the best part next to Jim Carrey. But,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I just feel like James Marsden being a foil for Sonic is not as powerful as Luigi, of course, like being the counterpart to Mario.
I agree. I agree. I feel like his performance for Luigi was just spot on. And like again, he doesn't even have like the Italian accent, but the fact that he's able to put on like I can still feel like that's Luigi despite the Italian accent. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's why we gave him for best supporting actor. But now we have main actor, which would be, you know, Ben Schwartz versus Chris Pratt. So for me, I put for best main actor would be Ben Schwartz. I mean, it's just to me, it's like any Sonic fan can listen to him and be like, okay, that sounds like Sonic. And he adds to Sonic too, because it's not just his voice, but what he adds is he adds a more empathetic, more like, I can't be too reckless, but at the same time, he's still that frat fun boy. So he adds more dimensions to Sonic with his voice versus Chris Pratt. It's just like, it wasn't bad, but didn't really add anything to Mario.
I 100% agree. But now, after thinking about it, I think. So I'll start with why I agree for sure. Ben Schwartz, I mean, is the Sonic movies. Like, he's carrying the whole movie on his back with like just the villain Jim Carrey, like by himself. Like he's the best part of the Sonic movies. He made people actually care about Sonic when like people were going into the movie like as a hater and coming out like, oh, that was actually good,
Yeah.
And I agree. I don't think Chris Pratt added anything to Mario, and the accent is like, I mean, there really is no accent. It's like slightly New Yorker accent. Like whatever, that's fine. It wasn't horrible or as bad as people were thinking it was going to be, but it wasn't like as impressive as Ben Schwartz, because I don't think people were going into Sonic thinking like Ben Schwartz was going to be great either, but he was.
Exactly.
And like, I definitely want to give it to Ben Schwartz, and I will, but I also think that in Mario, again, because like we said with like the pacing and how like condensed everything was, I don't think there was an opportunity for Chris Pratt to add anything, honestly. I think the people that got more creative with it was like maybe like Seth Rogen and Jack Black for sure, but I don't think there was like room for Chris Pratt to like workshop it and like be a really memorable Mario, because like we know that Chris Pratt has great timing, and so does Ben Schwartz, which is funny because like they were both on Parks and Rec, right? So we know they have comedic chops.
True.
We know they have great timing, and that, I mean, those shows are like not mostly, but there's a lot of ad libs and improvising on those shows, right? And you can't be cast on those if you don't have good timing and if you're not super funny. So, but like Ben Schwartz did a good job of like being Sonic, but also letting like some of his like humor like shine through somehow. I don't know how, he just did. Chris Pratt, I mean, Mario wasn't even saying really anything like memorable. I don't remember really anything that he said. So I don't know if it was like more of like the material, but yeah, like 100% like Ben Schwartz.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree on you on that he didn't have much material, but then I guess my point is like for example, Luigi, he didn't have much material, but he was able to, in my eyes, shine over. I mean, I guess that's a challenge because it's like the human character. So I don't know. My point is, it's like, I do think having more material does help, but for what they were given with, they still could. I still think he could have done something more.
Yeah, I remember you said like, even when he was like meow, like you were like whack, like I don't know.
Yeah, it sounded like he could be Sonic.
He phoned it in somehow.
Exactly. I was like meow. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah, do all better, right. Chris Pratt.
Exactly. Do better. All right. So next one is best director. Which one did you think would be best director?
I don't know who the directors are, and I feel bad about that. Like, I want to give them credit where credit's due. But I think, did you have an opinion first? Because I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I think so. I know that one of them, the Mario one's the one who created Teen Titans Go. I know those people directed it. My opinion with the best director was that I gave it to Sonic mainly because I felt like a lot of the decisions for Sonic, and I guess you can say this partially goes with the screenplay, it plays with like the story. Like even the scene, for example, in the beginning where it shows him fighting Dr. Eggman, right? And you could argue there's a marketing decision because it's like people know who Jim Carrey is, so to have Jimmy Carrey in the first scene, that would be more appealing. At the same time, story-wise, it has this build-up, right? Like we know this is a fast character, he's gonna fight this guy, and then we get to that payoff later on. Versus the Mario movie, not that it needs to have a scene like that. They weren't really doing, I mean, besides the whole cameos, besides the whole, Easter eggs and stuff, there wasn't much they were doing that really played with the story within decisions. And I think directing in general, you're giving a story, and not to mention again pacing wise, Mario movie was pretty fast. So at the end of the day, that's what I gave the director to Sonic. But again, there could be many decisions that affected, because I know Nintendo was really heavily on the Mario movie, so that could have affected certain decisions they had.
Yeah.
But
I agree with you, because so I actually don't hate Teen Titans Go. I know a lot of people do, but yeah, I like, watch it sometimes like, yeah, this is funny.
Yeah.
Those directors have a very specific style, and I can see it shine through sometimes in Mario, but it still feels so rushed that it barely comes through, which is like crazy to think about because those Teen Titans episodes are so short. Or Teen Titans Go. It's yeah, you're right. Like, not that I was expecting anything groundbreaking, but it is very point A to point B, and then super rushed. And Sonic, like you said, like there were really good choices made with like how to like resonate with the audience. Like, oh, like show them Jim Carrey. Like, oh, spend more time with Sonic. Give him like a little more background. Give him like a character developmental problem here, and and to be able to like direct like between like the real people scenes and like Sonic scenes and still make it like fully immersive, like that's pretty impressive. So I agree. I'm gonna give it to Sonic also, but I am going to caveat that like we don't know what pressures and what limits the Nintendo team or like the Mario team had, because there definitely had to have been some, and that shone through. And I don't know, maybe if like the directing was a little better, maybe like I could have turned my brain off and not thought about that, but I did. So yeah, I'm gonna agree. Gonna give it to Sonic.
Cool. All right, so we have best original screenplay, which I feel like this goes to Sonic again, and I think the main reason again goes back to like you said with character, right? Sonic, they did a good job. Like if you didn't know who Sonic was, the movie did a good job to introduce you and bring you into that world. Versus Mario, you had to know who Mario was for even to feel any emotional connection. So I think that's another reason why critics really enjoyed this Sonic movie even more, and why the screenplay is even better for the Sonic movie versus the Mario. So I think that's where best screenplay comes in there.
You make a good point, which is why I keep saying like the stuff that the Sonic team was doing was impressive, because they came out under very different circumstances. I feel like a lot was stacked against the Sonic movie when it came out. Like even before it came out, people were like mad about the Sonic design, but the team took the time to like push the movie back and like totally redesign Sonic to give him a more like classic feel. And then when people finally saw it, people going in as haters coming out like, oh wait, like that actually wasn't bad, and like Sonic fans were like surprisingly satisfied. Whereas for the Mario film, I can't say that people had higher expectations, but I think they did have higher expectations. And I don't think a lot of people were disappointed. I think some people were, like that's why we're even seeing like weird critiques and like it has like a horrible critic score. But like for the most part, people are coming out and have enjoyed it. But that, like, you can attribute that to, like you said, like Mario is a widely loved property already. Like, they were very intentional with like having all those 80s songs in there to like bank off of the nostalgia. It's intentional, but also is it good filmmaking? I can't say yes, because we keep saying the whole time like the pacing was off. It's very rushed. It's very like they're trying to get butts in seats, and like I can feel that the whole time, and like unfortunately I can't turn my brain off. So yeah, I'm also giving best original screenplay to Sonic, because we even like said like in the beginning of the Mario film, there's some good stuff with their family, and like they're very down on their luck, so like what are they gonna do to pull themselves out of this hole? But it kind of just like is almost like forgotten as soon as they like rush into the whole like
Yeah.
isekai type story, you know? And it's and yeah, you know, that's just like something that I notice, and that's why I have to give like best screenplay to Sonic because they did something creative and it was a gamble to have like real people in it and to make it also kind of its own kind of isekai, but it like worked surprisingly. And
Exactly.
yeah, and the pacing just felt more relaxed and like I was a little more immersed and I felt a little more like empathetic to everything that Sonic was going through versus, you know, Mario and Luigi, even though they were also great. But yeah, I just think
Yeah.
Sonic has the edge in this one.
Exactly. Like I feel like the themes of Sonic being family was really good. I know Mario's about family, but I feel like Mario's more like
Yeah,
bros. It's like, hey,
it's
bro.
bros versus like found family.
Exactly. Like the superficial bro, like, hey, don't talk to that girl, bro. You know, that's how I felt with the Mario movie. That's how I felt. But all right. Best picture. So with best picture, this is interesting because it's like the way you usually want to compare it, or at least the way I imagine being compared. It's not just about like, cause you can have a story or a film where it's like the music is like a 10, the visual effects are like a 10, right? But then, you know, the editing might be a 4, the acting might be a 3, you know. If it's very weak on those other areas, comparing to a film where it's like, you know, maybe the cinematography is a 7, the acting is a 7, the editing is a 7, but because everything is a 7, by that metric, it will be a better film than a movie that, even though there's certain areas that outperform it. So in that sense, I thought Sonic won that because even though I think Mario has better cinematography, it has better music, the Sonic music wasn't like it was bad, or the cinematography wasn't bad. It was just kind of just average, right? And with the areas that it did do well with story and stuff, it, you know, it, not that it was a groundbreaking story, but at least it was consistently good in all these areas. Versus Mario, it's only good in these certain areas, and then it's kind of weak on these other areas. So that is why I gave Sonic the best picture, at least the first one, right?
That's valid. What I'm using to kind of inform my decision is like take away any preconceived like notion you have of these properties or characters. Like say they're not established at all. What is the better film? To me, it's Sonic. It's like a movie that I would want to watch with a totally original character and be like, yeah, that was a good story. Don't know who this Sonic guy is, but this is cute, cool concept. Um, Mario, like I said, like everyone loves that property. Um, Visually, it's stunning. I think if, like, say all that stuff was original, I think it could even be like more impressive because it's like, oh wow, how creative. But like these things exist, you know? They just like did their best to make them as look as good as they could in kind of a three-dimensional animation, right? And it's very apples to oranges. It's like to me, like in this situation, Sonic is like Top Gun, and Mario is like Avatar. And you know, you guys know how I felt about Avatar, right? One is like a feast for the eyes, and one is like more of a feast for the heart.
Mhm.
And but they both rock, right? You can like both. Um, just going on my personal choice and everything that we talked about today, like I'm gonna give Best Picture to Sonic this round also. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to consider, and like these Oscars categories and the way we're judging it is not like the end all be all to like how movies can be judged and perceived. Like it's also objective, you know. As long as
Yeah,
you're finding enjoyment in them, like they're totally like valid experiences, and you know, it'd be good to just see more from either property.
I agree. So just to get a rundown, best score we gave to Mario, best film editing you gave to Sonic, right? And then for me, I'm a little bit kind of split there. So we'll just give it to Sonic in that case. Best cinematography we gave to Mario. Best supporting actor we gave to Mario. Best main actor we gave to Sonic. Best director we gave to Sonic. Best picture screenplay we gave to Sonic. And best picture we gave to Sonic. So in theory, in this way, we could say Sonic is the more better movie or Oscar way looking, but again it's subjective, right? Because like in a real
Yeah.
Oscars, Mario would be in the animated category, so they won't even be together. So it's like, and then again, and one thing I would say about this is like, with the critics complaining about Mario, it's like there's more to the movie than story, right? There's
Yeah.
you can't just say a movie sucks just because it didn't have a
Yeah.
good story. There's other things you can enjoy. So I think
Yeah.
Mario did a good job with other things we can enjoy besides its
Yeah.
story.
I
So
enjoyed both immensely. And it's like another thing too is like with movies in general, you might like and enjoy something more than something else which you know is technically a better film or better made, right? Like
exactly.
you're not gonna
That's
watch Schindler's List for enjoyment, right? Like,
mhm,
but I know it's like a better film than um I don't know, it's a better film than Tremors, but I'll
mhm,
watch Tremors on repeat, like like
exactly.
so, there's personal account is a big thing, and I think that's why like Mario is doing so well, and that's why a lot of things that maybe aren't as good are beloved just because like, you know, because someone somewhere enjoys it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like I enjoy the Mario film way more than Sonic. I mean, that's why I have the Mario hat here. So it's like, but I will agree that Sonic had better categories here. But at the end of the day, man, it just comes down to personal enjoyment. And that is
Yeah.
our categories right here.
Can't take
Let
it too
us
seriously. We're like two grown adults talking about two like animated-ish features about video games. Like,
exactly. It's just video games, by the way. They just want to sell. That's what it is. It's marketing. It's capitalism. But yeah, let us know what's your thoughts based off the categories we given. And don't forget to like and subscribe. All right. See you on the next one.
peace.
Peace.